with me having to relearn, reprocess, rethink what sex was, that was like taking a part of my identity away.
Just because you may need to seek help or you may be in transition and things may not be right, it doesn't necessarily mean that your marriage is bad.
Marriage is a roller coaster ride that never ends.
From the twists of having children, to the turns of overly involved parents, or the highs of buying a new home, to the lows of unexpected lifestyle changes.
Marriage is dope, but let's be honest, fam. Marriage really be tiring.
Welcome to the Left Hand Gang podcast, hosted by Jazz and Spoon.
What up, what up? Hope everybody good. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to the Left Hand Gang, gang.
Gang.
Why are you whispering?
Am I?
Yes, you're definitely whispering.
You really want to know why?
Oh, yes, please tell us.
Well, it's because I know that my child is like across the hall, and so like internally I'm trying to not talk too loud. But I thought I was still talking in a good. Okay. Well, if he wakes up, then
yeah, we just gonna have to cut this episode, go get him, and bring him back. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. How you feeling, wife?
I'm feeling good.
You sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah.
How's your week been so far?
What day is today?
Yeah. Okay. So that says a lot.
It's Tuesday, so it's not Thursday. Okay. Honestly, God just has me in a new place right now, so I'm just pushing and stretching in Him and seeking Him.
So, what is this place, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, it is the place of like a breaking and like a posture of just humility and basically stripping me of the things that make sense to me, that are normal to me, that maybe I've always done, and just helping me to see things differently. And it's a matter of, hey, follow me and let go of yourself, or hold on to yourself and be mediocre.
Man.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's tough.
Man, hold on to yourself and be mediocre.
Yeah.
Man, that hits.
Yeah.
Well, you're wearing it well.
Thank you.
You're wearing it well.
Thank you.
It looks good on you, girl. It looks good on you.
Amen.
I mean, but isn't that all of us? We want to be. We talk about how we want to be better, and we want to achieve this, and we want to be closer to God, and then He puts us in this posture that we ain't had plans for. See, our be better was something else.
Right. Like when I asked you, Lord, like for strength, and I was like, I need clarity. You know, how am I supposed to get this, and this done? And God said, go lower and keep serving. And I was like, no. I said, I said I was tired.
Yeah.
I said I had a lot on my plate.
Ooh, yeah.
He said, and then I feel like he looked at somebody else. Like I was still sitting there, like, but okay, we done talking. Oh, okay, let me go be humble. Let me go serve.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's where Jasmine's at. What about you? How are you?
I mean, I'm good. You know, still in these streets.
Not in
trying
the streets.
To, you know, in
What streets you in, baby?
I mean, you just cut me off.
I'm
You let me, elaborate on the address that I was close to.
You right. My bad.
I'm talking about these daddy streets.
Oh, okay. What them like?
Man, I mean, I love being a dad. I love it. Kai's my dude, man. It's my
You're
dude.
a great dad.
I hope so. Because
You
I ain't
are.
never done this before.
Hey, I ain't either.
You know what? You're right.
I feel like you're doing it right.
Well, look here. I mean, he's alive. He smiles.
Hey, he healthy.
No cuts.
He smiles.
No bleeding. I mean, we bathe every other day or so. So, I mean, and he sleeps, throughout the night. So, I guess, we good.
Yeah.
Huh. Hey, I guess I'm doing a halfway decent job. Check that off. Something that I've done. Oh, man. So, baby, what is we getting into today?
We talking about goals.
Okay, so, like, Break that down for a player. What you mean goals?
We talking about you and your spouse sitting down, setting goals, and why that's important, and even giving some ideas on how that might look for, well, how that looks for us.
Right, right.
And you can take that and spin it however you want, because I think the biggest advice that I learned was that every marriage doesn't look the same.
Right.
You know, like the word marriage, we think like, oh, to be married, it looks like blah blah blah, but it really doesn't. There are some things that are non-negotiables. There are things that, you know, everybody can implement, but it's gonna look completely different because we all have different personalities. We operate differently. So when we're sharing our goals, our goal setting, and what that looks like, that definitely does not have to look the same for every couple that listens.
Nah, that's real. Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool because it's kind of like, you know, why is it that, you know, for ourselves personally, we do things like vision boards. You know, we set a certain goals or aspirations that we would like to obtain or achieve by a certain time. You know, I want to do this by 25. I want to buy a house by 27. I want to have X amount of kids and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, once we get married, it's like our purpose and our visions or aspirations kind of go out the window. You know, it's kind of weird, but, you know, it's important to have goals for your marriage. And it shouldn't always be financial goals. Say that one more time. There should not always be financial goals that you and your spouse are trying to obtain. Like, there's so many other things that are out there. And when I hear people talk about, you know, whenever I hear even friends talk about their goals, the only goal that I hear, or the goal that I hear the most common, is something pertaining to financial goals. Whether it be buying a house, saving up for a certain amount of money, applying for a certain job, somebody retiring and being a stay-at-home mom or whatever, or a stay-at-home dad. And the focal point is the financial aspect. But I believe that a lot of couples, they really minimize the power, the achievements that they could have. They minimize the entirety of their marriage by only seeking, going after, setting goals that revolve around money.
That's good. That just made me think about, I know this is kind of like a bit of a sidebar-ish, but it makes me think about, you know, when we talk about tithing and when we just talk about being obedient to God, period, we limit God to just blessing us financially. Whenever we talk about, oh, you know, he gonna bless me and, you know, all that stuff, like, we literally, our mind instantly goes to, I'm gonna get a check in the mail, right? You know, and a lot of times we even like base our success on our finances.
Yeah.
You know, how much money do I have in the bank? Not saying that's not important, but we literally minimize it to just that. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. I mean, because it's true. And I think a lot of people do it unknowingly. I don't think they truly realize that it's revolving around money.
Yeah.
But, you know, we got to set other goals and other aspirations that money isn't always like the focal point. I believe that because we started doing it our first year. Yeah. Actually.
I don't know what prompted that. Do you remember?
I don't remember. Obviously God in some kind of capacity.
Right. My bad, Lord. You right.
But I don't know where it actually came from. Maybe it was us just having a conversation.
I think so.
And just talking about where we were and where maybe we wanted to be or wanted to go.
I remember it. Do you remember? We were at the Getaway House.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Getaway House, and we were on that nature walk thing. That was after we saw the ginormous, monstrous spider web.
Yeah. Ooh,
but
man, and your boy almost ran into it somehow, some way. I saw it, man, and yeah.
But anyway, it was during that, and I think you're right. I think it was, we were just kind of reflecting, and then, you know, we were like, you know what, let's set some goals. And then we just started talking. And then I think it was when we got back that we decided to write it all down.
Yeah. And I mean, and it was something, we ain't hop on Google or nothing to look for templates or nothing. It was just straight from the heart. I mean, you know, it wasn't nothing that we kind of follow. We were just like, well, what do we do good? What do we not do good? What could we work on? And we just kind of built on that.
You want to kind of give them an idea of what hours, like maybe like hour.
So we kind of, and again, this is completely off the top of the dome, us doing this, but it started off with our successes for the year. So the things that we did well, and did we meet certain financial goals? Did we communicate well? How did we handle, sex? How did we come together to talk about our future endeavors? How did we pray? Did we talk to each other about the word? Did we, fast, or, just so many different things that we wanted to really, really pinpoint. And the benefit in it, and I think the real growth in it, was we were very, very specific.
Yes.
We were very specific. So
we didn't set SMART goals, but they were very specific.
Yeah. I know. Things like I was saying, praying together. Did we, not that we prayed every single night, but were we intentional about praying with each other, be it over the phone, be it, separately praying for one another, just praying intentionally, communicating. That's not just talking, but diving deep into some of the conversations. I noticed you said this. What did that mean? I noticed, I heard this. What does that mean? And really, really communicating with one another, her hearing my side and me hearing her side. What are some other things you can think of?
I think that we do a really great job of agreeing on the things that we write down on our paper. Like, it's not just Lorion's goals. It's not just Jazz's goals. It is, hey, I think this is an opportunity for us, or I think we did well in this. And I think that this past year, we really saw that we had some differences. Like, you said some things that I was like, actually, I don't think we did that well in that area. Or it was like, yeah, maybe for like these 2 months, of the last 2 months of pregnancy or something like that, but maybe not for the entire year. So we had to hear each other out on some things. And from there, we decided, okay, is this really something that should be on our list, or is this like, not really? Like, and so I think we did a really great job of hearing both of our ideas, collaborating with those. And something that we do is we write our opportunities instead of saying like the bad things or the good and the bad. So we reflect first on the previous year. What did we kill at? What did we really excel at? Then what are our opportunities? Like, what are our areas that we could really grow in? And then we take those opportunities and then we say, okay, from our opportunities, these are our goals for the following year. Like, an opportunity we had was, like you said, maybe we need to do better about praying together. Maybe we were killing it in our prayer time on our own, but maybe we didn't come together as much as we would like to. Maybe that's a goal for this year. We're going to come together more often. And we don't make them SMART goals. Like, they're not, like the specific, measurable and all that. We don't put like 3 times a week we are going to eat dinner together. We leave it pretty open, but at the same time it is specific. Like, I know you just said that they are specific, but I don't want people to think like, we write down by the 3rd month of the year. It's not that specific. And another thing that we do that I think is really cool that we accidentally started was we were looking at our opportunities, right? And this was last year. We made our, also, y'all, this is so informal. Like, The first year we did it on a nature walk.
Yeah.
The second time was at Mod Pizza.
Yeah, we were sitting outside at Mod Pizza.
We were like, it was like about to close and everything.
Yeah, we were outside
like the last,
doing it.
one of the last customers there.
Yeah.
And this past year, it was at our kitchen table.
Yeah.
And might I add, it was also how many weeks late? Like almost a
Weeks?
month.
You mean months?
Like
It was about a month late.
a month after our anniversary.
Mhm,
But
it was
it's
a
fine. We got a baby though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
We did
It got done.
Mm-hmm.
So at Mod, we were talking about, okay, these are our opportunities, and we were getting ready to make our goals. And then it was like, you know what? I think an opportunity for you or another opportunity is blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, well, that's actually kind of specific for Lorian. So then we got the idea, okay, how about you give me some areas that I could grow in? Like, what are some opportunities over this last year? What have you seen that I can grow in?
Yeah.
And we decided to give one another like one or two. And then we maybe came up with one for ourselves. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was really powerful because I got to see myself from my husband's lens. And ironically, he didn't bring up the things that like I know like I'm working on already that I am just like bothered by. It was things that I don't see. You know, like you brought up things that it was like, you know what? I should work on that. It didn't feel like you attacked me or you crushed me when you gave me my opportunities. And I think that was really cool too, because we really do, as a married couple, you pull things out of one another.
Yeah, you do.
And that's part of your job, to pull the best out of me and I pull the best out of you, so that together we can reflect Christ, right? So that together we can grow. And after we give each other our opportunities.
Well, can we pause real quick?
Yeah.
Because well, we have to understand that's also a moment of transparency for really both people. Because for me to tell Jazz, hey, this is something that you need to work on, like, I had to be bold enough to be like, hey, dog, in certain areas you ain't really cutting it. And then on her end, she has to be humble enough to be able to have a heart to receive what I had to say.
Yeah.
And be understanding of the fact that I'm not condemning you. I'm not talking bad about you. I'm not saying that you're a terrible wife. But what I am saying is this is an area of growth.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do we expect to grow if we don't know the areas that need water? You know, how do we expect to grow whenever certain parts of you are getting sunlight and the rest of it isn't?
Yeah.
Like, there are certain parts of us that need that. But unfortunately, a lot of people would take that criticism and, you know, all of a sudden become the victim. And it's like, I'm not telling you you're a bad person.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is an opportunity for you to grow, to become better. So I really wanted to double down on that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. It also reminded me that another reason why we were a month late making our goals was we had to be in the right mental space.
Yeah.
We had to, it wasn't just that, you know, oh, we got to make sure, you know, we don't have any interruptions. The baby's not going to be crying, you know, or, you know, make sure that we don't have errands to run. It was also spiritually, mentally, am I ready to sit down and receive what you have to say? You know, are you ready? Are you focused? Am I thinking about other things, you know, about the dinner that needs to be made, or, you know, whatever it is I need to do around the house? Like, if I'm not mentally present, this is not impactful.
Yep.
Because then it becomes one person making the goals, or it becomes a riff.
Yep.
Because you're trying to sit down and you're trying to come together with and make one vision and, you know, and create unity. And obviously already that is not what the enemy wants.
Right.
So he's going to use anything he can to divide you. So if you come in with an attitude or you're not focused, that's just grounds for this to be a hot mess. So I think that it's really important to make sure that you are both mentally and spiritually ready. And it's okay to say, you know what, this is a force.
Yep.
Or I'm not ready to do this right now. Because you also, like you said, to be able to receive those opportunities. Like if I'm going to say I want to receive from you things that you think I should work on, if I have an attitude or if I'm tired or if I'm not happy with you, it's not a good time
Nope.
for you to tell me
Not at all.
what you think that I could work on.
Yep. And
I don't care how sweet you say
and
it.
that's the same outside of this, just regular day to day.
Yeah.
Like if you're not in the right mindset to frame of mind to receive any kind of criticism, you're not going to receive it.
No, no, not at all. Yeah. Did I think you touched on already about the importance of this. But would you like to go into that a little bit deeper? Like, why is it important for couples to come together and make goals? Maybe not this extravagant, but just even coming together to set their eyes on something together.
I just believe that it's important because it's a really good measuring stick of where you are, where you were, and where you plan on going. Especially year 2 and year 3, because you get to kind of sort of compare. And then you also get to reflect on the highs, because we don't want this to sound like, oh my God, we're just going to talk about all the things that we didn't do right or that we got to work on. But you also get to reflect on all the highs, the successes, the things that you really, really did well.
Yeah.
And you're in a place to celebrate those.
And that's a lot of fun.
And it's very fun to be like, yo, we did have a kid.
Right.
Man.
We bought a house.
We did buy a house. We did. Man.
You forget.
Wow, you know what? We really did pray a lot this year about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you get the chance to celebrate those things. And even if you're in a difficult spot, in your marriage, you get that it's like you come around and you do this, and you and your spouse are sitting at the table. Y'all probably pissed off at each other already, but then you get a moment to reflect together.
Yeah.
Not just by yourselves. I think, we do a lot of self-reflecting and not a lot of us or we reflecting. We reflect on everything, but separately, but together we don't really take the time to just sit and reflect. And something that we did last year, we didn't do too good of a job of it this year, was like checking in on our goals throughout the year. Just, hey, how are we doing with communication? How have we been doing that well? Or what's our sex life been like? Has it been lacking? What's our prayer life been like? Have we been talking about the finances the way that we said that we wanted to? Like all of these different things, we have an opportunity to talk about throughout the year. So, I want to encourage that too. Have your quarterly, mid-year, whatever check-ins to see how this is going, to see how your goals are going as a family. So yeah, I mean, it's really important. And something that we do that we also encourage everybody else to do is pray.
What was that?
Pray.
Not vent.
No, not vent.
Not go call my homegirl.
Nah, sis. But sit and pray with your spouse beforehand and after the fact. It ain't gotta be no extensive prayer, but God, thank you for allowing us to come together and help us to see our successes, the things that you've allowed us to be successful in, and also help us to see and share the areas of growth. And at the end of the day, you be glorified. Amen. Simple. And get into the business.
What is the significance of that?
The significance of
praying because you're specifically talking, I'll be honest and transparent. I thought you were just saying like pray together as a couple, which is important.
Right.
But you were talking about specifically before you guys sit down to make goals.
Yes.
Why do you encourage that?
Well, it touches with what you were saying earlier about being in the right frame of mind. And so anytime you come into a posture of prayer, you should by default, should in all caps, you should be in a posture to receive whatever it is that God has to say. And also, I would say A.5 instead of B. Okay. But you're also
trying to figure out. Carry the one. I didn't know there was anything in between A and B.
Oh, yeah. I just made.
I don't know
definitely.
That letter.
It's okay. 8.5. Yeah, we put it together. It's algebra. Because you can have letters and numbers. Anyways, so you also put things in perspective, which is God is the center.
Yeah, that's good.
Point blank and period. So when you come together to pray about goals, about really anything, especially pertaining to your marriage, you have to remember that your marriage is a reflection of God, is an imitation of God. And so when you come together and you pray regarding the goals of your marriage or regarding the goals of your reflection, of God's reflection, this is serious business. And it's about God, not about what you did, but how much you reflected him. So was God reflected in your financial growth? Was God reflected in the way that y'all communicate? Was God reflected in y'all's sex life? Was God reflected, in how you managed your children and stewarded things? So were you successful in those areas at reflecting God through those things? Because it's cool to be successful, but at the end of the day, did God get the glory out of you being successful at some of your goals and checking off your goals? So that's why prayer is important. And whenever you're discussing goals.
Well said, baby. Well said.
Glory to God. He gave me that off the top of the dome. I ain't gonna lie to you, cuz.
Amen. You'll do that.
I ain't gonna lie, cuz.
You did good, bud.
Oh man. And talk about how as we through, I guess, each year, how we made modifications, how it started off as one thing and then we added opportunities like for one another individually, and then how like we kind of rated.
I feel like you just said it all.
Did I? Maybe I did.
I think you did it. Well,
my bad.
What he was trying to say
without saying
that he had asked me to say was that was me buying time to think about what you didn't say.
What I didn't say.
Yeah. So we started off with, I think it was just merely what are our goals. This was after, like, first year. I'm sorry. What are the things we want to do better at this year? Mm-hmm. And I think we talked about what we felt like we were doing well. I don't know if we wrote it down. And our goals list was pretty reasonable. Like, it was all like really simple things, actually we had a lot of successes. We had a lot of things that we reflected on and we were like, man, we did so good, so proud of. I think like our areas of growth were like opportunities were like one or two things. And then, we had our goals that we set for the year and it was just like a beautiful little, it was just like, 1 year, blissful. Year two, we killed it. 'Cause we were like, oh man, look at all the things that we said we wanted to work on. And all the things that we did well the first year, the second year, we did that again. And then some. Our second year was good.
Yeah, it was. I'm talking about the goals that we didn't check off.
Like what?
Like one was the truck.
Oh.
And something else. I don't know. We had set like 4 goals or 4 things to accomplish for, I guess, during year 2. And we didn't accomplish like the majority of them. I can't remember what they were, though.
I don't think it was the majority. I think you boosted.
Oh, because I remember it being like 5. Oh, she's pulling up the receipts, y'all. Y'all hear that? Yeah. So, yeah, our goals for our first year marriage was, number 1 was to maintain our first year successes. 2, pay off my truck. 3, build our first house. And then number 4, work for ourselves. I guess that was kind of half and half. So I guess I boosted a little bit. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you was right.
So then year 2, we did really well year 2.
Yeah.
We were like, we're doing so great. Marriage is so beautiful. We love Jesus. And we didn't hit all of our goals, but we had a lot of successes. And that's another thing to emphasize. Like, we set goals. Like I think we said, he just read, like it was to build our first home. We did not build our first home, our first year of marriage. And that was okay, And so year 2 came around and it was like, no, we didn't reach that goal, but we didn't pay off the truck. But man, our communication was on point.
Yes.
And how many of y'all know poor communication can break a marriage, a relationship of any kind?
Any kind.
We had some other really great things like prayer. Our sex life was better, date nights, being intentional about that, cooking and not eating out. Like, we had some great things that were things that we could really celebrate. And I think like we rate our marriage and the overall success of, you kind of worded it differently than how I was looking at it, but we rate our year basically from 1 to 10, and year 2 was 8.5. Y'all, I told y'all we was out here killing it. We was out here doing the thing. And then year 3 came. Year 3.
Without, year 3 was
it was bumpy.
It was no pun intended.
It wasn't bumpy because of internal things.
Right.
It was bumpy because of the external factors that were impacting our marriage. And I think that's interesting because I didn't really pay attention to that. Like, when I say like, man, year 3 was rough, it wasn't like year 3 was rough because our home was in disarray. Our love for one another was gone, or we were dealing with something traumatic. Thankfully, it was because we were both being pulled and stretched from work, from peers, from family, pregnancy alone. There was a lot pulling on us. And so year 3 was tough. And so that's another reason why it took us a little while to sit down, because we were like, we actually got to think. We really got to put some work into this one.
Right. And I also got perspective, and I was sharing this with you the other day, that even though we didn't accomplish something, doesn't mean that we weren't successful, because we still were intentional about working towards whatever goal it was. So no, we didn't check it off the box, but we were successful because our intention and our intensity never really let up. We were still moving forward and moving in the direction of accomplishing that thing. So just anybody out there right now, with any goal, be it marital, single, anything, if you are pushing towards something and you made progress, you're successful.
Amen.
You're making strides. You're moving in the right direction. And the society that we live in just makes us feel like, well, if you didn't do it, then you failed.
Right.
But you're making progress. You're learning how to control your anger. You created a budget. So now you're becoming better at your finances. You're being more vulnerable to your spouse about your feelings. You ain't got there all the way just yet, but you're making an intentional effort. So you're not failing. You're just progressing. And so progression is not the same as failure. You're moving forward. So I really wanted to double down on that too, because it's easy to get down on yourself in your marriage when you don't accomplish any kind of goal. It's easy for you to make yourself feel bad, make your spouse feel bad because you didn't check this thing off or you didn't get it done. No, but you tried, and you're still trying, and you're making progress. And the devil wants to mess with you for real, because of your progress.
Yeah. Something that hit me while you were talking is, for people like me, surprisingly, I didn't think of this for us. And I think it's because I didn't want to limit us, but I'm a person of routine and structure and all that. And I was thinking, maybe starting out, maybe you just set one financial goal, one family goal, and then like a personal goal for each one of you. That's 4 right there. That could be a good starting point so that you're not overwhelmed, especially if you're like, I don't know where to start, fam. Like, we got a lot of cards on the table. Yeah. I don't know which one to pick up. Maybe starting there might be helpful. We didn't follow that format, but I thought of that because our goals are all over the place.
Yeah,
we have goals that are like, we have one this year. Our goal is to visit our grandparents more and being more intentional about that. Us visiting and also bringing Kai around his grandparents and great grandparents. That's like an easy goal to meet, you know, like that's not, but it's not super serious. It's just, that's a desire of our heart. And so we added it. But we also have like savings goals, you know, like we have a dollar amount that we want to get to. Like
Right.
we have, you know, our goals they fluctuate and they're all
Right.
over the place.
Right. And our goals are reflection again, our reflection to glorify God. And our goals are touching just about every area, every aspect of our lives, be it financially, internally, ministry wise, family, friends, other couples, entrepreneurship. Like, we have at least one goal in one of those areas. Now, everybody's doesn't have to look the same, and it doesn't have to look like ours, but that's just in our hearts, you know?
Yeah.
And it's in our hearts to touch those different areas so God can be reflected in those areas. And you know, I really want to kind of hone in on the grandparents thing, because I mean that's an area that a lot of people don't really think about, you know, when it comes to their kids hanging out with their grandparents, spending time with them, growing, you know, getting to know them. And we got this, we're in this day and age now where, you know, we can take pictures anytime, you know, but I remember when we were kids, you know, we had that Polaroid joint. Wasn't no digital stuff. But, you know, your kids will be able to grow up and be able to kind of reflect, you know, on their times with their grandparents. And so, like, you know, for us, that was like very, very important. Because little homie got a lot of grandparents, y'all. He got like 13 grandparents and great grandparents combined. And not everybody has that. So that was a really important thing, really more so for me than anything. Because I got to grow up with my grandparents.
So something I want to end on is our goals have to be something that we are intentionally thinking about over the year. And something that I want us to do better about is putting our goals somewhere where we can see them. So whether that's on the fridge or a shared note, or bathroom, but somewhere where you, like we talked about coming back to them, you know, to check in. But I think sometimes we need to visually see like, oh yeah, I am working towards that. You know, like that's not something that's going to be on my mind. Or that is something that I really want, and I want to be intentional about praying about it. And I know that if that's something that I'm desiring and I'm being intentional about, and I'm in right standing with God, that the enemy is going to come and attack me probably in that area.
Yeah.
And so I need to be even more spiritually ready for an attack. I need to be ready to guard that area. And the first thing that comes to mind is finances, or we can use grandparents because we were just talking about that. So our weekends, I don't know if you noticed, but like our weekends have been packed with all kinds of stuff. Like, and the weekends are when we would go see grandparents, you know, like that's something. And our weekends have been tied up with stuff that's not necessarily like things that are pouring into you and I. It's like we're pouring into other things. So that's not a bad thing, but that can easily take us away from our goal, right? Like we have to be intentional about that. Or finances. We know how much we're working towards saving. We know how much God told us. We know what God told us to work on. That's where the enemy's going to attack us. You know, like this bill's going to be due, or, you know, something, you know, there's always stuff that can happen. So I just want to encourage people, because I know that I have that mindset where I easily get defeated when things don't go my way. And, you know, like I'm learning to be ready and to recognize, oh no, this is an attack of the enemy. You know, this is backlash. Like I'm in a place now where I'm like, nope, you can't touch this. Like this is kingdom territory, you know, like ready to just speak what I want to see and be ready to fight spiritually, like the word tells me to, instead of just accepting like, oh, there was another overdraft and my bank is telling me no. I don't receive it in the name of Jesus, because I know that I budgeted right. And even if I didn't, I know that God is still gracious. I know that my goal is still going to come to pass. I know that things are still going to get taken care of, you know, whatever bills need to be paid. Like there is no lack. Like I know how to speak life and speak what it is that I want to see. And so I just want to encourage the people that are like me. It's like they said to work on goals, and I started setting goals, and then everything started going upside down. Like, or all of a sudden, all this stuff is happening. I'm not even going to worry about it. No, that's where you push. That's where you press,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
God tells us that we will be tested.
Yep.
Like how do I know you can handle it? How do I know? How do you know that you're ready?
How do you know?
How do you know that you know how to steward well? Like, so just be ready for that, and not to be fearful of that, but to be ready. And I think that shows maturity, and I think that shows growth, and it's another opportunity for you and your spouse to dig deeper in prayer and to come together, which is what the enemy does not want you to do.
Facts.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, I thought we was gonna get a 4-point sermon out of you right
Boy,
there, girl.
Hush.
Sheesh.
So this episode was a little different, I think, from my others. And of course, like we always say, we're not telling you to do what we do verbatim.
Not at all.
We're just sharing,
we just, submit. We just suggest,
This is what we did, what God put on our hearts and worked for us, or did not work.
Yeah.
We're sharing the failures too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man, did you get it all off your chest, girl?
I did. What about you?
Yeah, I did.
Because you went in on grandparents.
I did. I'm sorry,
You were really passionate about that.
I was.
That's so cute.
I love my grandparents.
Shout out to all the grandparents
I got
out
to
there.
grow up with my grandparents.
We love y'all. Y'all part of the gang too.
Yep.
Gang.
Yep, sure is. Talk about me because I love my grandparents. It's okay. I'm going to go see my Gigi.
I love you, lover
and
boy.
my pawpaw.
Your Gigi and your pawpaw want to see you too.
I know. I'm going to go see him. Man. But, yeah, we hope that that this was definitely a blessing to y'all. Talking about just setting goals, man. I mean, can definitely change the trajectory of your marriage.
Yeah.
Can strengthen your marriage.
Yeah.
And help you both get a vision and a direction for where y'all want to go. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, if you have kids who, are of age to help, why not incorporate them into the goal setting? Ask them, with guidelines. If you're a teacher, like you kind of teach kids to say what you want them to when you make rules and stuff like that. Like you don't just like be like, what's a goal you want? M&M's every night. Like, no. So maybe you can ask them, what are some things that they want to see, or, what are some things that they would like to do, or maybe you set the goal, we're going on a family trip once this year. You can choose from these 3 places, like that they're included, or, just, I think that sometimes we should be modeling things for our kids in front of them.
Yeah.
And including them in it, and not just doing it over here and thinking like, oh, they'll get it,
Right.
I think there's beauty in that. So that was just an idea to maybe include them. And we would love to hear, about how y'all's goal setting goes. Like, what was that process like? What's the outcome in a year or so? We would love to praise with y'all, and just, be a part of that testimony with you, and praise God for what he did.
Yeah, that's good, baby.
Yeah.
It's real good. Include the little crumb snatchers.
The broke roommates.
Ain't paying no rent. Running up the light bill.
Maybe that's their goal.
And they go, yeah, you know what? To turn the lights off whenever they not in the room. That's a good one right there.
Yeah.
That's good, baby. So, man, we appreciate y'all tapping in with us, with the gang. Yeah. Y'all be easy. We love y'all.
Peace.
Thank y'all so much for tapping in with the Left Hand Gang podcast.
Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, and rate us.
And lastly, please don't forget to check out our website. That's lefthandgang.co for merch and ways to stay connected.
Catch you next episode.
Gang.